Welcome to See You on the Other Side, where the world of the mysterious collides with the world of entertainment. A discussion of art, music, movies, spirituality, the weird, and self-discovery. And now, your hosts, musicians and entertainers who have their own weakness for the weird, Mike and Wendy from the band Sunspot.
We're doing something we've never done before.
That's right. It is like 75 degrees outside, blue skies.
Sunny, a little bit of a breeze, which you might hear in the microphone,
like
so
right now,
don't panic. It's making itself known.
Yeah, but we're having a tropical podcast outside today because we're both in the same city today, number one. And in Wisconsin, if you guys haven't been here, it's a really great place for about 4 months a year, and we need to take advantage about if you ask a Wisconsinite, like, hey, what do you guys do in July? Most of them just say, well, we go outside. And
on a day like this, if you're inside, you feel like you're doing something horribly wrong.
Right, your own insides are dying.
Yes.
If you stay inside on a day like today. So it's gorgeous, so we never want to waste a day. I mean, this isn't Southern California here.
Right. And it's nice we've got the mobile set up here, so we can we got the mics and everything.
Yes.
Outside.
And I'm even enjoying a Wisconsin beer right now. New Glarus Hopster.
That's right. Yeah, we have a selection of Wisconsin beers.
Oh, yes, we do. Because
the Capital Amber.
Which is a delicious beer.
Yes, a nice cold beverage on a nice hot day like this.
Is
soaking up some rays and talking some weird stuff.
Yes, that is what we do best. And so that's why you might hear some cars in the background or like a murder or something like that.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, if you hear a scream, you don't have to sweat it.
All good.
So what episode is this? I can't...
this is 49.
Holy crap, 7 times 7.
Yeah, oh, wow. Huh.
Just blowing your mind, a little numerology there. Yeah, so
it's a square number.
Episode 49 is pretty fantastic. I can't believe it's been, like 8 months.
I can't believe it's not butter.
Me needs.
No, you're right. 8 months. That's crazy. And that also means that Halloween is creeping up on us.
Right.
Because that was the inaugural episode.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's flying by, and we've covered a lot of topics, and we've met tons of people, and there's still so much to talk about.
I believe so. I remember when we first started working on these things, like we were coming up with a list of ideas for the first few episodes, and I thought, like, well, we're probably going to run out of something.
Yeah.
We're going to run out of
at
ideas.
Some point.
By like episode 20, like we're going to have trouble coming up with ideas.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a week where it's like, oh, we should talk about this. Or
no, we always have more that we want to talk about than there's time for, it seems.
Every single week I can think of something new to talk about. So that's fantastic.
It is. But let's save some of the reminiscing for next week, because that will actually be episode 50.
So episode 50 is next week. So here's what we're going to do.
Ooh, what are we going to do?
Okay, so anybody who's on...
Cake?
Yeah, we'll probably have cake.
Sorry, I got excited.
Let them eat cake. We will eat cake.
Cake.
And so for episode 50, what we're going to give away some Sunspot prize packages.
Whoa.
Right, we're going to mail them to people. So we're going to select at random anybody that tweets out what was their favorite episode, just with the hashtag OtherSide50.
Okay. So they tweet their favorite episode with the hashtag OtherSide50.
Mm-hmm.
And we will randomly select and contact the people and get their address so we can
send you some
cool
goodies. Stuff. Yeah,
cool.
And you will get a special goodie package.
That's exciting.
So we should do that to make it fun.
We'll have to go into the Sunspot inventory and look for some really cool stuff.
We definitely have to send them all the stuff we can't sell otherwise.
There's nothing. I mean, there's really nothing that's undesirable in there, I think.
No, I would say most of it's pretty good. It's all good stuff. Like, we make sure the T-shirts are cool. Like, any T-shirts, like, we try to make sure that it's a shirt we wear ourselves.
Right,
and that'd be the only thing we wear.
And we will send you your size, so don't worry.
Right. We're not going to send you, like, an extra large if you're tiny, or a tiny if you're extra large.
Well, that is the bummer when you win a T-shirt in a contest and you get it, and you're like, yeah, I'm never going to wear this.
I could wear this as underwear.
I could put this on my Ken doll.
Right. No, we'll send you a size that works too.
Yes. Okay. So cool. The tweet thing.
OtherSide50 with your favorite episode.
And the number 50.
Yes.
Like OtherSide50.
Correct.
Okay.
And
I'm gonna do it. Can I win?
No, you cannot. This stuff's already in your garage.
Okay, you're right.
Yeah.
And
you're already wearing a shirt you didn't pay the band for.
Yep, and I'm drinking my beer out of a Sunspot pint glass and
Right. Right. Okay. So, and if you don't have a favorite episode, just go back in the archives. And, some people have been tweeting me, interestingly enough, that a couple people have been just reading the show notes.
That's great.
And they were like, "Hey, that's a really good article.
Oh man,
where can I get like the audio part of it?" And I'm like, "No, just go up to the top,
and press play,
and hit play."
That's great though, because you put a lot of work into those.
Sometimes
referencing all the info, linking up all those images.
Yes, to make it fun to read, and so also that you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, and also
an hour well spent of your time.
Or if you listen to the episode, you want more background information. It's nice to be able to go back and reference that. If you're listening while you're jogging or driving or something like that, you don't want to necessarily Google it right there.
The best part about the internet that I missed from I think I missed from like regular books and stuff is the deep linking. That you can just start it up and you can keep going.
Go to town.
Right, and then you can learn as much as is literally humanly possible.
Right.
So I think that's the magic of the internet. So that's awesome. we try to do that with every one of our posts.
Yes, and speaking of posts, you can always find the show notes at othersidepodcast.com/ the number of the episode. So today's is what?
49.
That's right. othersidepodcast.com/49, and you can see all those exciting deep links.
Right. And so
hyperlinks.
So today, I mean, did you see any movies this weekend, Wendy?
No, I didn't see any movies this weekend.
I of course you did. I saw you most this weekend. We played.
Yes, we did. Yeah, we played up north.
And
or kind of up north.
Yeah.
Up north for us.
Middle of the state. A lot of fun.
Wausau, Wisconsin, which was awesome and beautiful.
That really was awesome.
Sunny day.
So I didn't see any movies this weekend either. But one of the movies that came out is about the Stanford prison experiment.
Okay. This rings a bell.
Right. So anybody that had psychology class in high school or college probably talked about this. And this is an experiment designed to see if the social roles in prison of an inmate and a guard were somehow creating abusive situations in prisons and incarceration facilities.
Okay.
So if maybe the actual process of some people being a prisoner, some people being a guard was creating things that dehumanized the prisoners and made the guards more sadistic.
Okay, sure.
So
that would make sense.
To create abuse. And this was done in 1971 in Stanford University.
And was this a study that was done to try to identify an issue so they could reform the actual prison system?
Yeah,
or? Okay.
Definitely. It was funded by the U.S. Naval Research Institute. And the 70s were a very progressive time.
Indeed.
I mean, a progressive time, you think about it, so 1972, I mean, Richard Nixon is the man behind the Environmental Protection Association, the EPA.
Right.
And it was also behind a public option for health care. So when you think of even the conservatives at that time were also very like, let's reform things, or let's check out things, let's protect the environment. It was a different social situation. And they were looking at, also in the 1970s, they disallowed the death penalty. So that was one thing that happened in the 70s too, that they were looking at reforming prisons. Yeah. And there was several, we didn't have the death penalty for a while until the Supreme Court decided that it wasn't cruel and unusual punishment.
Okay. So people were really looking out for human rights.
It was a different time. And so they were thinking that this could happen in the prisons. And so this was developed by a guy named Dr. Philip Zimbardo. Okay. And
that sounds like a character from a book or something.
And it's funny. So he, Dr. Zimbardo is this guy. He's a really brilliant researcher, smart guy, but he looks like a like an evil scientist, like a dark goatee.
So like a character from a book or a cartoon or something.
Yes, absolutely, Dr. Zimbardo. Dr. Zimbardo. He's like one of Captain America's villains.
Okay.
And he looks like it too. And he does research to that. So in psychology class, we used to watch. So I was a psych major at the University of Wisconsin right around 1,000 years ago. And approximately a millennia ago. And we used to watch videos by Dr. Zimbardo. And he would do things like he would hypnotize people and put their hands, and put their hands in ice water, and then he'd ask them how much pain are you feeling?
Oh.
Give me a scale, how much pain? And the people would be like, 5. 7, 10, and they were just going up the scale of pain. He'd
oh
be
my
like,
gosh!
Tell me how much pain you're feeling.
I thought you were gonna say they put one hand in the ice water and then the other hand in the
the warm water, and then Dr. Zimbardo would watch them wet themselves.
That's the maturity level that I'm dealing with here.
No, that's okay.
That was the first thing that popped into my head. But actually, that reminded me of another pop culture thing.
What's that?
But this is completely a tangent. But it was on, I think, America's Got Talent.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? Howie
Mandel.
Yeah. So there was a hypnotist who, you know how he's very OCD. He won't shake anyone's hands.
Right. He's the guy that brought us to fist bump.
Yep. And this hypnotist convinced him that he hypnotized him, and then convinced him that the hypnotist convinced him that the hypnotist was wearing gloves. So he shook his hand, but he didn't actually have gloves on.
Ah.
So and then he convinced him that everybody, the other hosts, also had gloves on, so everyone was shaking his hands, and he was just,
that
totally
means he
fine
had to
with
shake Howard Stern's hand. Gross. You
Yeah.
don't know where that hand's been.
Right. So anyway, it does tie in because I was actually incredibly offended by that. I thought it was like violating his, you're
That's
convincing
true.
somebody to do something when they don't have the will. They're not in their normal frame of mind, and I found it like really offensive that all of the hosts were like rubbing their hands all over him and stuff, and it's like, come on, when he sees this later on, he's gonna
freak
be horrified,
out a little bit.
and it's just,
and then he's gonna look at that check,
yeah, well, okay,
and then it's gonna be like, okay.
So anyway, that was a little bit of a tangent, but it is
that's
related
cool,
to pop culture, and I was shocked when I saw, I don't even know, I tuned into like the rerun of it or something, but I had read about it online, and I just couldn't believe. I was like, what?
Wow,
Like, how
okay.
did the producers let him do that? Because, I mean, if that was one of my friends, like if it was you, Mike, if you were sleeping and somebody came up and tried to stick one of your hands into cold water and the other one in hot, I wouldn't let him do it.
I appreciate that. But if you want to hypnotize me and then have people rub their hands all over me, that's perfectly fine. I won't care that.
What level of pain are you experiencing?
10. Okay. So, Dr. Zimbardo, here's a side note.
Okay, sorry about that.
He was the president of the American Psychological Association when one of our friends used to work there, was an editor at the APA for a few years. And so she used to report to Dr. Zimbardo.
Oh, wow. So we have like 2 degrees of Zimbardo.
Of Zimbardness. Yeah, so we, and he's an old guy now. And I think he's pretty retired because he's like 83 or something. But
wow.
I mean, this guy is he's the evil psychologist of the past 50 years, hypnotizing people and running experiments like the Stanford prison experiment.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So, so here's what they did. They took 24 male students, and they would make half of them prisoners and half of them guards. So they would just, split them up at random.
Okay. And now, did they know that the nature of the experiment going into it, or were they just...
Well, they knew it was going to be a study of prison life.
Okay.
So they had that idea, and they're going to get paid $15 a day, and they took the 24 most psychologically stable candidates, and they chose them to participate.
Okay.
So the prisoners were, quote unquote, arrested in their homes.
Okay.
In front of their neighbors and everything. So people came, they arrested them, put them in cuffs, did the whole thing.
And
they went to the
and they knew that it was part of the experiment.
Yes.
When that happened.
But the neighbors didn't.
Okay.
So but they were arrested in their homes. They got full mug shots, went through the entire booking process at the police station. And they were given numbers and not names, and they were told, the guards were told to use them, instead of names, they're told to use their numbers, their prison numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So 3 prisoners to a cell, which really, a cell was really a basement room in one of the buildings in Stanford University.
Okay.
And there were 3 guards on shift at any one time.
Okay. Little pretend prison.
Mm-hmm. The guards were given batons and uniforms to look official. So that was, supposed to make them look like guards. Okay. So the first day, things are going fine. By day 2, one group of prisoners refused to leave their cell. They already went on strike, and played prison strike on day 2. They were only there for 1 day. So extra guards were called in to quash the quote-unquote prison revolt.
Okay.
The prisoners who didn't participate were given better meals and a privilege cell, like a nicer place to stay.
Rewarded.
So, right, they already rewarded the people who didn't, who actually left their cell and acted like model prisoners. 36 hours in, one prisoner's freaking out so bad he had to be sent home. So, right. This is just a study. And they're not even a day. I mean, they're not even 2 days in.
And they know it's an experiment.
Yeah, and they know they're not really prisoners.
Wow.
They know they're there for just 2 weeks.
Drove them mad.
Right, in that kind of day.
Jeez.
And, like, things are already going crazy. Guards started making prisoners go to the bathroom in a bucket in the cell to punish them.
What?
So if they acted badly, these are guards, and these are just, like,
And
peers.
they're letting the guards just decide how they want to rule the place.
Yes.
Basically. Okay.
Yeah, so the experiment's going, and Dr. Zimbardo is there acting as the evil warden. I mean, he wasn't acting evil, but, I mean, he was there as the warden.
Uh-huh.
And he was, part of the experiment. But, these guards were making guys dump in a bucket and stuff like that
That's
to
really
punish
sick.
them.
Yeah.
After just a couple of days.
Yeah, that's not even... It's not like a week and a half of being in the basement of,
Mm-hmm.
some building.
And you're getting paid to be there.
2 days.
And you know exactly that this is just an experiment.
Wow. Weird.
So, people are freaking out. Some prisoners are forced to be naked as punishment.
Oh,
So there's, they're forced to, like, take off their clothes and be naked, and they're getting punished, and
that's crazy.
yeah.
Like a psych... Okay, just another quick aside. When I was in college, I took Psych 101.
Yeah.
And, you could get extra credit by participating in the different experiments.
Of course, I did a million of them.
Could you imagine going into one of those and then being treated like that?
Well, no, the thing is, the way I looked in college, no one was going to ask me to get naked. I realized that I was like, hey, big guy, take off your clothes. That wasn't going to happen.
But really, though, I would just be like, I was always a little skeptical going into them because I'm like, what are they doing to me?
Like, what are they really planning?
Yeah, because they always do the switcheroo where they make you think that you're doing one. They make you think they're evaluating one aspect of you when
And
you
it's
know
different,
they're
of course.
actually looking at something else.
Mhm.
So, but if somebody really like started abusing me that way, I'd walk.
Well, one guy,
It'd be shocking.
right. One guy freaked out.
That's true.
And they kicked him out.
I guess I'd be that guy.
Other dudes got to get naked. By day 4, there's a rumor that the prisoner who was released on day 2 was coming back to set the other prisoners free. So a rumor runs through the prison of 12 people.
Uh-huh.
But it also runs through the guards.
From the outside.
So even Dr. Zimbardo
He's aware.
stayed and waited, like, to set a trap for the person who... Yeah, like, this is...
What?
Right, this is not even a week. These guys have only been together for, like, by day 4, they already think somebody's coming back to set them free by force.
Okay.
Like somebody's going to break into this psychology experiment. Okay, day 6.
Which they could leave voluntarily.
Yeah, absolutely. They wouldn't get paid, obviously, and they would ruin the experiment, but this is... No one was really holding them by force. The guards had batons.
Oh my God, there's a mosquito on your shoulder. I'm sorry.
Okay.
There. There's a big fat one.
All right. Got him. Got him before he drew blood.
Yeah, so the guards with the batons.
And the thing is, it's just... They were acting... The guards were acting like sadists. The prisoners were acting like they were... Like they really were crazy.
So they were truly taking on the roles of their...
Yes. Within less than a week.
Wow.
Day 6, one of the students goes in there to conduct interviews and then just tells the doctor, this is completely ethically wrong. Like, this is...
Okay.
Like, this is going awry.
Yeah.
You're too involved, and you've got to stop it.
Okay.
And he respects that person very much. So that student that did that eventually became his wife.
What?
Yeah, well, once you're in college.
Figures it takes a woman to get in there and set
Right.
some sanity to the place. No, I'm just kidding.
Right, and let him know. So, he realizes that he's way too close to it. People are going crazy. After 6 days, the experiment is shut down.
Okay.
So
Good. Really, how could you not even consider how unethical that is?
Well, but nobody thought it was unethical because nobody thought this would actually happen.
But
Nobody
once it
thought
started
people-
happening and you see people abusing each other and treating each other that way, come
But
on.
who could have predicted that? That's why it's an experiment. And I guess the prediction was not that all of a sudden guards can be like, get naked and crap in a bucket. Like, nobody thought that they would get like this.
Yeah.
So, there's some criticisms. They said that the people who were actually in the experiment were self-selected from people who responded to a newspaper advertisement seeking volunteers for a psychological study of prison life. So what kind of person volunteers to give up 2 weeks of their life for a psychological study of prison life?
I was wondering that, actually. If I saw that ad, I don't think I'd respond.
Right.
I mean, the $15 a day, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
that's tempting.
That's pretty good. That's almost jury duty money.
But really, though, I mean, it's
Right. So, like, what's the deal? And who would do that? You know, people that didn't have a job, people that didn't,
right.
have anything to do for 2 weeks. So, I mean, that's one of the criticisms. Another one is that there was a total observer effect here. That the people were just acting like they thought they were expected to.
Yeah.
They thought that the researchers wanted to see the inmates become animals.
Yeah.
And the guards become
like villains.
Sadists.
Yeah. And that's kind of the first thing that I thought when I heard about it was I could imagine people going in and, playing the roles.
Well, and it's interesting because there's another famous psychology experiment done about 10 years before. And what it has is it's got so you go into the researcher's office and he tells you that there's somebody on the other side of the glass.
Oh, yeah.
And you are supposed to administer electrical shocks to that person.
Right. Yep.
And
like on Ghostbusters. No, that's different. Sorry.
No, that was a little different. I mean, that was more of an experiment of every time that you every time you did not predict the right card, you would get shocked. But Bill Murray was shocking the guy who was getting all the cards right and letting the girl go through who was getting all the cards wrong. So, but yeah,
So the one way mirror.
Right, you're administering electrical shocks to the person, and you were doing it when like the researcher told you. And people would just be complicit in it. They would just be like, well, the researcher told me to do this.
Even though they knew they were, in theory, hurting someone else.
But they were just going along with it. And well, after the Second World War, these psychology experiments they're important because you thought about, like, how could a regular regular German soldier work at a concentration camp? How could a regular
who
human
would agree to do that? Who would agree to do those things to other humans?
A regular human being agree to do something like a concentration camp.
And it happened, of course. So.
Or, not to pick on the Germans here, but they've got a history.
Right. Well,
in East Germany, how could you see your fellow countryman who's running from an oppressive society try to cross the Berlin Wall, and you shoot him?
Right. Yeah.
Like,
it's crazy.
And is it because they're just following orders? Is it are those people? And this was a real thing after the Second World War because people who were regular members of the German army, do you prosecute them for war crimes or do you prosecute the people in charge?
I see.
So a guy that's just a concentration camp guard that was sent there,
where do they draw the line?
That was drafted in the army. Do you punish him just for being born in the wrong place, or do you punish the people who are in charge? And that's kind of the idea of experiments like this, the Stanford Prison Experiment, is that the things that these people did they do them because they're actual sadists and they need to be removed and punished, or
is it just human nature to follow orders?
To follow orders in a certain situation and look out for your own skin over the next person.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why people were doing things like this. Post-war. And a guy like Dr. Zimbardo, he's 82 years old. Obviously, he came of age in the post-war period. And so also that experiment that was done with administering electrical shocks to other people was done in the 1960s.
So crazy.
So, but the Stanford Prison Experiment is very famous because it's just meant to show when people are put in these roles of guards versus prisoners, they tend to act like they're expected to. So,
interesting.
Would our prisons be better if people were not just put into these roles of the guard versus the prisoner?
I see.
So that's kind of where they were going with this. And the other more criticisms are like, first of all, you might have gotten weirdos responding to it.
Yeah.
You had the observer effect. And also, there's only 24 people.
That is a pretty small sample size. When we're talking about psychological,
And a prison that might have
effects.
Thousands of people in real life. There's only 24 people in the basement of Stanford University. And is it the problem that they're Californians?
They might think a little differently than the rest of us.
They might be a touch different as Californians. No. So that's kind of... But I mean, I think this belays into a larger issue, and it even goes into a little bit of paranormal, and we'll get to that in a minute. But so pop culture illusions. There was a great after-school special called The Wave.
Okay.
And this goes into groupthink. This goes into where people just following orders and doing so. This is based on a true story. In 1967, a teacher decided to do a little social experiment of his own in a high school, and he created this group called like the Third Wave.
Ew.
And if people would join that group, and eventually they started taking on Nazi-ish qualities.
Oh, jeez.
Like excluding some people from the group, telling the people who were in the group the people who were outside were bad, and all those different things, like in a social experiment.
Yeah.
And in like the after-school special, things get crazy, like people get beat up, and then eventually he goes saying, hey, the Wave is actually a national movement, and let me show you, we got a special video from our leader. And it's this big school assembly, and all these kids are so excited to see the national leader. And then he shows them an Adolf Hitler movie.
Oh, nice. Good punchline.
Right. And the teacher was played by Bruce Davison, who also played the senator who didn't like mutants in the first X-Men movie.
Okay.
He was the guy, Bruce Davison. He also was the father in the TV version of Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh, okay.
Because there was a movie version.
We've brought that up before.
We probably have, because I was the only person on Earth who watched the TV version of the Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah, I don't remember which episode or anything. I feel like we've discussed that particular program before, and I don't know why, because I don't even know if I ever saw it. Well,
maybe. I really like Bruce Davison.
Okay.
He got Oscar nominated. He played a gay guy in a movie called Longtime Companion. It was a very touching movie when they didn't make a lot of movies about gay guys and stuff like that. And he did a great job on that, and I always thought he was a great actor.
Okay.
So I think about him, and I think about The Wave, and I think about Harry and the Hendersons and the good movies he's been in.
All right.
Okay, Veronica Mars and Law and Order both had episodes based on the Stanford prison experiment. There's a movie out that just came out on Friday, so you can
What's the movie called?
The Stanford prison experiment.
Okay. Cleverly named.
They're just going straight into it.
Do you think you're going to go see it?
I'd probably go see it.
It looks interesting enough to...
Yeah, I don't know if I'll see it in the theater.
Yeah.
Because
we could hit the budget.
Yeah, of course. But now,
for $3, I'm willing to take a chance of it sucking.
You bet. Like, I don't need to see it in IMAX.
Right.
But it's got the guy, Billy Crudup. He played the main rock star in Almost Famous. He's the guy that was a golden god and jumped in the pool. And so he plays Dr. Zimbardo. I mean, probably a handsome, non-evil version.
Sure. Okay.
So that just came out this weekend. That's one of the reasons I want to talk about it today, because it's something that is worth discussing, and it's on people's minds. And, it's going on in pop culture right now.
It is interesting just to think about that, and to think about human nature and the way that people's minds are affected by not just the people around them, but the group of people around, the group dynamic and all that, and how it can really change how people behave. I mean,
well, no, that's, you bring that up. Now, we talked about concentration camps, we talked about the Berlin Wall, and I picked on the Germans. Sorry, ancestors. But we can pick on the Americans too, because we have Abu Ghraib.
Right.
So we had our own American soldiers taking our prisoners and torturing them. Making them get naked and taking their picture.
Yeah.
Doing things against Islam to offend them, like. They were shocked by all the women there, and then having them have to get buck naked and touch themselves in front of the female guards. So that's the whole thing. And why did they do that? I mean, why did these people think that this was acceptable as an American, service person to do these kind of things to people who were,
they're humans.
Right, they're prisoners, but they're humans.
Right.
And they're in prison, so they're not dangerous, or they're dangerous, but they're not attacking you at the time.
They're captive.
So, and those people went to prison. The people in Abu Ghraib who were involved in that, I was looking, when I was doing research for this, I was looking at a picture of Lindy England, one of them when she's giving a thumbs up again with all the naked inmates, and she's smiling and smoking a cigarette, and you're just wow, you're supposed to be in charge, and you're humiliating other human beings. And the thing is, would she have done that in any other situation? Was Lindy England the kind of person who, if she was not working at a prisoner of war camp in Afghanistan or Iraq or Abu Ghraib,
wrapped up in that environment and being around, a group like that.
If she was a Walmart greeter, would she take a picture like that? No. So that kind of, that's a very direct connection to the Stanford prison experiment. So, I mean, what's the paranormal side of this?
Yeah, what is the paranormal side of this?
Well,
because the basements are scary.
Basements are scary. No, not quite. It's how can your environment change your personality?
Ah, okay.
And that's something that happens in a lot of haunted stories, and that it's the place changes who they are. Mm-hmm. That it's the fact that there was violence in the place and there's still negative energy.
Okay.
It causes people to change their personality. And that's something that's coming up in a lot of stories. When we talk about a deadly haunting.
Right.
So in a deadly haunting, remember it's the father-in-law of the author. She would talk about how the father-in-law just started changing. They were in the house and he became much more,
because of the spirit or whatever that was
infecting the house. So
which episode was that? I can't remember.
Episode 43, maybe?
Okay,
we'll have to look it up.
In the show notes.
But yeah, so I mean, a deadly haunting, it's the place that affects the personality and turns somebody evil who wasn't evil before. If you ever see the movie The Shining,
of course,
right in the book, it's the hotel.
Oh my gosh,
the hotel drives Jack Torrance, Jack Nicholson in the movie, drives him crazy.
That's a great example too, because granted, in the movie, part of the reason why probably is because of the implications of it being haunted or whatever. But
right.
But I remember my family used to take road trips every summer, and there was this place in the Black Hills that we stayed at that was very much like the Shining place, and it was like that. It was the environment was just it was creepy, and it wasn't. I mean, I don't know if it was haunted or not, maybe, but I could imagine, if you're the only one living there over the winter, this gigantic palace of a hotel with big spooky corridors and I could definitely see that environment affecting one's mental health.
Well, did you see The Conjuring?
No.
Horror movie that was out a couple years ago. Number one, you should see it.
But it's
don't
really
watch
scary,
it alone.
isn't
it's
it?
Super scary.
No.
Really,
I don't.
It's
watch
like
those
it's a great old school horror movie.
Okay.
It's not particularly gory or anything like that. It's just
psychological.
It's not a slasher movie. I mean, there's shocks and things like that, but it's just a great ghost story.
Like
movie.
Blair Witch or something. Where
like Blair Witch. Yeah.
Josh.
Without just a random bunch of people screaming at each other.
Yeah. Okay.
But I would say, so in The Conjuring, in that movie too, the mother has that happen to her. They're in the house, and the house is an evil place because there was these witchcraft performed there, and then people were hanged on the premises, and
that's a drag.
and so the place made people murder each other. And so, I mean, we talk about The Shining, and Stephen King brings that into some of his other work, like that a place can change people.
Oh, yeah, right.
And that's the idea. And now here's a real life paranormal story from Mayer, Minnesota. Ooh. Okay, from 2005. We got a family in Mayer, Minnesota, and the mom is talking about the weird stuff they started seeing when they moved into this house that they were all excited about because they thought they got a great deal. Well, great deal. Her 16-year-old daughter changed dramatically after moving into the house. She reported seeing a shadow in her room and feeling someone touch her. She always had an outgoing personality, but she became withdrawn and started spending most of her time in the room.
Oh, jeez. Wait, isn't that just turning into a teenager?
That might be turning into a teenager.
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist.
But, that's the people say they started seeing shadow people all the time in there. Her daughter was becoming a total recluse, and her 14-year-old son's personality was changing too. And, that's several stories are like that.
So,
there's a story from Wisconsin about a haunting in the Horicon Marsh, which is probably our most famous haunting of the 1990s in Wisconsin.
But these are places that are, people think that they're spirits there or whatever.
Right.
They're haunted places. They're not necessarily just the environment or the bad energy or whatever the environment.
Yeah, but the thing is the spirits are there because they did some things to contribute bad energy. Okay. They're there because, so let's say you take a place where something very violent happened. And then you think that people might be receptive to that violent energy.
Like at Alcatraz or something.
Right. And then you start working there and you just start getting infected in that. And that's kind of, kind of the prisoner inmate thing. Here are the roles you're expected to do, and they're just the paranormal aspect of
your personality is changing not because you've seen a ghost or you're freaked out or scared. It's because it's for deeper reasons than that. It's just the overall
the place is infected.
Yeah. Okay, I gotcha.
The place infects your mind and makes you.
Oh.
And you always hear that too, though, when people talk about the first Paranormal Activity. You ever see the first Paranormal Activity?
No.
Okay, that's the best one.
Is it?
So
Okay.
I recommend seeing the first Paranormal. But the idea is that the spirit doesn't just follow the house; it follows the girl.
Oh, okay.
And so it's making her
poor
act
girl.
different and everything like that. And
That's
it's
awful.
not, you can't escape it no matter. So it's not the haunted, and this idea is that it's the house that affects you. It's the place. You have to get away from the place because the bad juju, affects you in that certain
Interesting.
kind of way.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know what that reminded me of. One of the places I was researching when I went down to Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
The Bell Witch Cave, and I'm sure you're familiar with the story of the Bell Witch.
I don't know about the Bell Witch.
Oh, we probably should do a whole episode about it.
Okay.
It's crazy. I mean, it's the story is from I don't know when, maybe like mid 1800s or something like that. But
Okay.
it was this farm family settled in, and there's just they have reports of this poltergeist. They called her the Bell Witch, but she basically talked to the family there, and she was trying to split up relationships, and she hated one of the people and wanted to kill him, and they all kind of just lost it. And
Okay.
at first they were scared to talk about it to the community, and then they ended up sharing it with people, and it became like a very well documented thing. But it's a place that you can still go and visit, and there's a cave there, and it's just I wanted to stop there on my way down, but I wasn't
Sure.
able to because it was closed the day that I was driving through. But I think that would be an interesting situation of where it sounds like it's a location that has
That infects you. That
Yeah.
there's something wrong with it.
right.
And that's the kind of thing. I mean, is there something inherently wrong with the way we set up prisons? We set up concentration camps. We do all these things where you're expected to act a certain way, and maybe you wouldn't be so inhumane, but now you are inhumane because
The
this is
expectation is there.
This is the place you are.
Yeah, if you're going to be inhumane, you do it here.
Right. I mean, well, think about how many times so you go out with certain people, and when they're at a certain kind of club, they'll like go crazy, go
Oh,
buck
yeah,
wild,
yeah,
and it's like you
right.
wouldn't see that guy.
And not just because they had a lot of whiskey.
No, but they wouldn't do that at home, but they like
Right.
have expectations upon themselves.
Yeah.
And that's what gets into. So you put people in situations. So you put people in dangerous places, where they think they know how they're supposed to act, and it's not nice towards other people.
Uh-huh.
We probably shouldn't be surprised when we find out they're not being nice to other people. Just a thought.
Yeah. Well, if you are planning on going and seeing the movie, or if you've seen the movie,
Yes.
let us know, because I'm curious to see what people think about it.
Me too.
And I'll probably check it out. I think I don't know.
I love it. No, I'm a sucker for that stuff, and I remember reading and watching videos on it in college. So I'm definitely gonna check it out.
But before we see that, we have to see Terminator,
I
because
know,
we
one
haven't
of
seen
these
it yet.
days.
We talked about going today.
Yes, we did.
It's $5 Tuesday.
One of these days we'll go see it. Well, anyway, so remember, hashtag #OtherSide50, and you'll get a Sunspot prize package.
if you're selected. But we're gonna select a lot of people, because you know
Yeah.
what? You guys are cool.
Yeah, if you're listening to this, I like you lots.
But the people that have interacted with us and stuff have been really
have been
interesting,
awesome.
and so it makes me want to give out lots and lots of prizes. So whatever we can afford, we'll have to review the Sunspot budget and make sure it's not gonna
Yeah,
destroy the band.
right.
But
We'll go in there and count our pennies.
I think we have a little surplus inventory we can dole out.
I believe we do. All right, so let's put up a new demo here, and here's
Okay.
the song for this week. And this is a song about, this could be applied to the Stanford prison experiment, or it can be applied to a place where the surroundings get you down. It's called The Bottom.
for listening to today's episode. You can find us online at othersidepodcast.com. Until next time, see you on the other side.
I can't believe it's not butter. I love cake.